welcome to Fall in Love with Modern SharePoint. My name is Nikki Klikis, and I'm an Office 365 consultant with WM Reply out of the Chicago office, and my particular focus is on intranet solutions. Joining me today is Katie McCullum.
Hello, my name is Katie McCallum. I'm a senior Office 365 consultant at WM Reply, based out of the London office. And like Nikki, my particular focus is around modern SharePoint, particularly building intranets using this new platform.
So we're going to share our experience and thoughts on how intranet projects have changed with SharePoint Online and the modern UI. I'm going to give a quick overview of what we mean by the modern UI and what's changed from the previous versions of the product. And the focus of this webinar is SharePoint as an intranet solutions. So previous versions, SharePoint has had to wear several different hats, but with all of the offerings and applications now available in Office 365, SharePoint can really focus on being SharePoint. Then Katie will go ahead and give a demo of the modern UI in action. And at any time throughout the presentation, please feel free to post questions in the QA, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. So just to give a little history of the different versions and offerings for SharePoint, back in 2010, we were building very custom solutions. So lots of custom code. And one of the main asks from our clients was, can you make it look like anything but SharePoint? Where that is very different from what we'll see in Katie's demo in a few minutes with the modern UI. But then moving forward, by 2013, Microsoft started introducing reusable components. And right around the same time, we here at WM Reply started building standalone components as well to be added into SharePoint. This is an offering that we call the Accelerator. And these set of components are meant to work alongside native SharePoint. And they basically plug the gap in areas that we've identified as playing an important role in SharePoint solutions. So now fast forward to modern, we have a whole new user experience. No customization or advanced configuration is really needed before you can go live with your intranet solution. Okay, so what is modern UI for SharePoint? As you can see from the screenshots, it's noticeably different than what you've seen in previous versions of SharePoint. And that's purposefully done by Microsoft. So they moved away from Classic and they built this modern SharePoint from the beginning. So built it from scratch. There's definitely still a corporate feel to it, but it's much more like a site that you'd expect to come across when browsing on the web today. It's modern. It provides organizations the ability to showcase news and information to the right people with the use of audience targeting, which is a feature, again, out of the box now with modern SharePoint. You can also engage your audience with likes and comments and social resharing. But it's much more than just a look and feel that's changed with the modern UI. This redesign has really enabled Microsoft to address a number of usability issues and also deliver the speed and ability to work across all devices that you'd expect on a web-based solution today. So what does this mean for us? There's lots of benefits, but just to showcase and touch on a few of them, it's fast. And we're not talking about the page loading fast as that's expected. The area where you notice the speed difference the most is when it comes to editing a page. No longer multiple page refreshes every time you want to make a change or an edit to a page. And for content editors, myself being one of them, this speed boost is definitely the here all the time. People absolutely love it. And we're going to show you that in just a few minutes in Katie's demo. It's also intuitive, so you can use it across all devices as a standard. So out of the box, it looks lovely on a laptop, on a mobile. And one of the key features that I would like to point out is that it's evergreen. And what we mean by evergreen is that you're always on the latest version. So there's no more waiting for product updates every few years. And the great thing about this is we're already seeing our customers and our clients benefit from this and get really excited about it. So just recently, Microsoft released the audience targeting feature. That was immediately available to our clients that had already moved into the modern SharePoint platform. They went to edit and that feature was already available to them and they started using it right off the bat, which is totally awesome from back in the day waiting for versions and updates to come through from Microsoft. A couple other things I want to point out as benefits with this modern UI is that these sites are compelling right out of the box. You have lovely looking sites without heavy customization or configuration needed. And one more thing is that they're flexible. So Classic SharePoint had this hierarchical structure where you had a site collection, and then you had a parent site, and then subsite, 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 and everything was really tightly knit together. So, for example, if you had a product site and this product was under Division A, and for whatever reason there was a site reorganization, and now this product site had to go under Division B, your SharePoint admin was going to have a really bad day at this point. We're moving forward now into modern UI. Modern SharePoint uses hub sites. These hub sites are very flexible. They're much more loosely connected. So going back to our example, moving a product site from Division A to Division B is really easy and simple. And the best part about it is the URL stays the same. So no, your favorites are still working. You're not breaking any URLs or links back to that site. So again, lots of benefits. And at this point, Katie will go ahead and SharePoint some of these key benefits and features that we've been discussing. And she's going to rapidly build a new intranet homepage using only the out-of-the-box features.
Great. Thanks, Nikki. Cool. I'm going to share my screen now onto the SharePoint landing page in O365. So bear with me one moment. And there we go. I think that's showing, Nikki. All good for you?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is our SharePoint landing page in O365. So I've just gone to office.com and selected SharePoint. And now I'm going to knock up a site very quickly, and we're going to walk you through some key features that we think could feature in an intranet homepage. Now, it's going to be very quick, but and lots of thinking would go into a discovery of a normal project to ensure all of the information is correctly organized, the information architecture is correct, and the content makes sense for your business. But let's have a look at this core functionality that's available to us with our Microsoft 365 licenses. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create Site in the top left-hand corner. And then I'm going to choose a communication site. This is for our broadcast type communication that we would expect an intranet homepage to hold. So I'm going to click communication site, and I'm going to create a demo for WM Reply Global. There we go.
And one thing to point out too, as Katie's building this site, depending on your organization structure, this can be closed down to a few people within the organization, a couple SharePoint admins that have the right and permissions to build sites from scratch.
Absolutely. And you'll see here I can choose a design. So I can choose topic. We've got loads of different designs in our demo environment. To begin with, you'll have these first three: topic, showcase, and blank. I'm just going to choose topic, even though I'm not going to use all the web parts in this site design, just to show you what that might look like. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish now. It's going to have a think about it and hopefully build a nice site for us. So you can see here, WM Reply, we are a very red focused company, and that's our branding and look and feel. We've applied a site design across the whole of our SharePoint environment to be in WM Red. You can see at the moment as default it's in the Microsoft Blue, but if I go ahead and just refresh the page as I'm instructed to do here, it will inherit that red color that we've applied to our whole SharePoint environment. So just give it a moment there. Perfect. And then we can see that here. So first thing I'm going to think about when I've got this new homepage is I've applied this topic site design, and it's dropped in a number of different web parts for me. I don't want all of these, but I just want to show you what you get when you apply a site design like this. You get some web parts already input onto the page. So some things to think about right up front. We can change the information about this site and the site look and feel very quickly and easily by going to the cog. Lots of you SharePoint connoisseurs will recognize this from Classic. All of our kind of key backend information is still sitting here in the cog, but what you'll see in a moment is all of the editing is capable on that front page view. But there's a couple of things available here. I can go into change the look. You can see here, I can choose a theme. Obviously, we've inherited this red WM theme already, but I could choose another one. I can choose a more compact header view here. I can change the site logo. So I'm going to go straight ahead and I'm going to choose a WM logo that I have pre-uploaded on my desktop to pull through here. There we go, and you can see that's implemented at the top, and that will apply across my site. I can change the look, and I go ahead and save that now.
And the great thing about this is gone are the days with those big, heavy CSS files. You don't really need to have this, crazy design coding background. You can come in here and quickly click your way through a beautiful, compelling site design.
Exactly that. So there's a couple of things in here. There's more site information and you can do some more detailed permissions. But even the sharing of this site is a lot more simple now. I can go ahead and share, and Nikki and I are going to work across this site together over the next couple of weeks, let's say, as intranet owners. So I can go ahead and share with her and give her the full control she needs to edit this. And it's simple as that to go ahead and be able to co-author and own this site together. And you can see at the top, I've got a menu and the editing on this. If you've edited a SharePoint Classic mega menu in the past, it's quite the undertaking. Now we get that all again on the page, which is amazing. You can even enable audience targeting on this, which we'll talk to a little bit more later. So I can add various different items on here. So I might want to add, let's say, let's go ahead and add a link. I'll just put in Google for now and just go ahead and type in functions. And I might want to add in some subsections to this. So again, link, again, I'll just pop in Google for now. And let's say I'm going to add in the function of finance if this is an intranet homepage. And then I want to say, OK, I'm just going to make that a sublink of there and go ahead and save it. And you can see now the kind of thing we would expect from a menu. That's just one example. But once we've built this all out, that's all available here and editable right here on the page.
And how quickly we're able to make these updates and changes. We're not sending tickets to IT and waiting in a queue for them to make these, to our site navigation or anywhere. Actually, as Katie starts building this page, they're readily available for any SharePoint admin with the right access to go in and make these updates themselves, really empowering the end user to build and create their page.
Absolutely. And if we think about the finance site that I've just popped up here in the navigation, again, as intranet owners, Nikki and I will be able to edit that and we can go and give ourselves permission to it. But we could also give, maybe we've got a comms business partner in the finance department, we could just give them access to edit a finance site and they wouldn't have access to edit the whole intranet, and we can go and give those permissions. And again, we don't have to rely on anyone, developing anything or enabling permissions in a highly complex way or relying on IT service desk. We can do that as intranet owners too. So let's go and think about what we might want to see on this intranet homepage. So first thing to note is this grey bar at the top. Nikki and I are going to see that as owners of this page. An end user wouldn't see this. So just you get a little bit more real estate on the page. But this is where all of my kind of key actions take place. And most notably, the edit button over here. So the first thing I'm going to go and think about doing is actually what's the structure of this page going to be? And you can see at the moment I've got full width zones, so full width sections sitting across the whole of my homepage. Now I don't actually want to utilize this big section here because I was just showing you what it would look like to implement a template. I'm going to go ahead and delete this with all the web parts in it. There we go. And at the moment I've just got this hero banner. Now, so one of my favorite configurations and templates for a homepage on modern SharePoint that came out in the last sort of 9 months or so is to have a vertical section running down the right hand side of the page. So if I click onto the plus button over here, there we go, you can see vertical section is available to me. If I implement that, you can see I now get a vertical section running down here, and I can have web parts running along underneath each other here, but still have the main body of the page over here. And on a mobile device, because it's a completely siloed section, all of my main body content will display first, stacking appropriately down onto mobile, as Nikki said, and then this section will go all the way down at the bottom. And some key things I'll put in here as tools off to third-party applications. And typically on a mobile device, we'd probably expect to go to the app in question anyway, so it doesn't matter too much that these will now be at the bottom of my screen.
But the key point, I'm sorry, just one of the key points to point out again is the responsiveness of these pages. So no custom code, no special configuration needed. Any of these templates and layouts that are available are automatically responsive across any device.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I'll do when we finish up this demo is I'll just quickly inspect the page and show it in a mobile view too, and give you a bit of a flavour for how this might stack down onto any device that your users might be using. So this main part, the sort of key real estate on my intranet homepage is where I want to display key bits of information for my users. I really do like this hero web part here, but I actually want to use the news web part in a couple of key ways here to display this type of highlighted content. So I'm going to delete this hero banner, which just enables us to put text and images and links, and actually replace it with, let's go ahead and add in a web part here. And I'm going to add in the news web part. In here, the modern news web part, you can see that here, and I'm actually going to add it twice, and you'll see why in a moment. So what I want to do is I want to have a nice carousel at the very top of my screen here. So I'm going to click the pencil icon on this web part. So on every web part, when I click on it, I get the ability to edit, to move it, to copy it, delete it, and that's always running down the side. And when I do choose to edit, I get the right-hand panel over here, again, just showing you how quick and easy it is as a content owner to edit our content and configuration on the page here. So I can choose the source of the site. Now, normally I'd probably publish some news content to this site, but for the purposes of the demo, what I'm going to do is show you how I can pull news from other sites across the intranet to display on this homepage. So I'm going to click Select Sites. Here we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and select, let's have a look. Let's go into this Pratt Hub here to be pulling through. You can see the content in here. Let's go down and have another look. What else we've got pulling through? So we've got various different demo bits of content in here that I can be displaying. You can see that. And if I scroll down, I don't really like this configuration. I don't think it's that compelling at the very top of my screen. I want it in a carousel view. That looks a lot better. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the title and commands because I don't want it to say news at the top. There we go. So it's just a nice carousel. I want to show 5, maybe 6 posts in here. You can see the dots representing the different items, and I want it to automatically cycle through news every, let's say, 3 seconds, because I think that's going to be quite nice and dynamic on my homes page, and you can see it now cycling through news content.
And
the other thing sorry,
and all these changes that these properties and configurations that Katie's been doing, no refresh has been needed. So again, speaking into how quick and easy it is to update and edit these pages from previous versions of SharePoint.
Absolutely. And you can see here I'm actually, as a content owner, also organizing this news content. So I might just want the most recent articles to appear here, in which case I just leave it as automatic. But there's 3 key bits of news right now for us that I want to display first. These 3 I've chosen to appear in this order because they're key, and I want them pinned to the top of that carousel. So I'm going to close that now, and you can see I've configured that news web part up here. And that's maybe I've chosen some key global channels, or I might have one single channel pulling in here, one site as the source, which is our kind of highlighted news content, let's say. And then if we look down, I've added the news web part again, and this time I just want to pull through lots of various functional news into this web part. So now I'll scroll up and I'll choose Select Sites. And I'm going to go ahead and choose more kind of functional type of sites. So I'm going to choose IT here and finance. It keeps on pushing down for some reason. Let's just try and get it open. I'm going to choose our people. And let's have a look, see if we can get any more that kind of generic type of sites. And some products as well. So I'm going to pull those through. And again, don't love this configuration. It's in a full list view. So I'm actually going to scroll up and choose the Hub News layout because I think this is more compact. I get some nice thumbnail images pulling through on here as well. Just open that up and we can now see what that's going to look like. We've got a carousel, and this is coming from a source of maybe some global important highlighted news content and some more functional news appearing down here. One thing to note, actually, I'll open this up again, is I can enable audience targeting on this web part. And what we would do then is on the various sites like IT or our people, we could enable audience targeting. For our functional news, we might want everyone in the business to see this and to pull through onto the homepage. But perhaps if Nikki's based in the Chicago office, I'm based in London, I might be audience targeted on London, she might be audience targeted on Chicago. So we'd get a different view on this homepage, aggregation news. I'd see my London news and all functional news. She'd see Chicago and all functional news. We could, of course, click through to each other's location-based sites, but we're getting served news that we think is relevant to us. So there's some thinking behind this as well, where we can really be showing users news that is really relevant to them. Awesome. Just going to close that now. And then we've got a nice view into our news content here on the homepage. I'm going to go ahead and now create a 3-column layout directly underneath this. Here we go. And what I want to drive directly under the news content is a bit of personalization. And this is really going to show how by utilizing SharePoint and centering our intranet in the O365 experience, we really benefit from having that single personal identity across all of the applications. So any files that I store in my personal OneDrive or in Teams I'm a part of can display here on the homepage in a view into my recent documents. So we're going to drive some personalization into this and make this that launch pad into my day. So I'm going to click plus. I'm going to add a web part. If I go into the double-sided arrow here and open up, you can see just the number of web parts available to you out of the box. All the ones in black come with your O365 license. WM have built a couple of additional ones to fulfill a few feature gaps here. Those are in red, but as I say, all the ones in black are available to you. In this demo today, we'll be using all out of the box functionality. So I'm just going to use the search bar to type in documents in here, and I'm going to select recent documents. And this is going to show me documents across Teams, SharePoint, and OneDrive that I personally have engaged with recently. I'm just going to put it my recent documents. You can see even the web part titles I can edit right here on the page. I'm going to do the same here now with sites.
And this really does give you that feel and does provide you that one-stop shop. So really your intranet homepage is your launch pad for your day. Whether it's, recent documents, sites that you currently reference, everything is here and available to all your users.
So you'll see here that I'm sort of playing around with this just to see what's going to line up and sit nicely together. And it's just going to I've chosen frequent sites for current user. So what we're showing here is that as a platform, O365 does understand my behavior and it knows the sites that I've gone to recently, and it's going to pull those through onto this zone and this web part here. And again, I just played around 7 or 8 items, what's going to line up nicely next to my recent documents too. Go ahead and close that now. The final thing I want to show is some video content. So I'm going to type in stream in here, which is the video portal on 365. And I can just show all of stream and show any trending content on here if I want to. You can see that all pulling through. Or if I wanted to, I could just show a single video in here. So I could call it WMTV or something like that. We've got all of the recent trending video content that's sitting across our stream environment in 365. Awesome. I'm going to move over now to the right-hand panel, which I've abandoned so far. And I really want to use this as kind of linking off to third-party tools and pulling through some sort of key location-based information for my users. So I'm going to go ahead and click the plus button. And this time I'm going to add in the quick links web part.
And this is a really great way, a great component, really a great way to aggregate all of your key company links in a standard set of tools and present them to your users. And on the intranet homepage, as Katie said, that can be just a global general, list of links or tools. But when you get to your functional sites, you can reuse this web component to make it specific to finance, to HR, and to those users landing on those pages.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to put a couple of key examples in here, again, just using Google. So let's just drop in Google here and go ahead and click open. There we go. I'm just going to put in, let's say, timesheets. I'm going to add in a third one here. Maybe we're using a third-party system for HR. So maybe we're using Workday. So again, dummy link, but I'll put in Workday here. And then perhaps I want to go ahead and add a fourth one. There we go. And just say our 2019 results. Maybe these are just key bits of information we want our users to know. And then I'll add a final one, and I'm going to add in latest coronavirus updates. There we go. You can see here, I can choose actually different, there's a whole set of icon suite in here that I can change this to. If I just click and change this, it will hopefully open up. So there's loads in here that I can switch this to if I want to. If I want to have an icon suite, but you can use custom imagery as well. And in one of the examples Nikki's going to show you later, we created a whole set of icon suite for Bowden. And instead of using the default icons in SharePoint, all of these are sort of really highly branded to reflect their look and feel as well. Just close that now. You can see it condenses down. We normally see a nice configuration of 9 links here because of 3x3 look and feel. It's worth saying this is a standardized set of links for all users. We have built a component in WM where you can have a personalized set of links for users too. So if you're interested in that, do let us know. So next thing I really want to drive in this right-hand column is information on our location. So this is WM Global, and we've got multiple locations in our business. We've got our Chicago office, our London office, Manchester, Minsk, and Chester. So I'm going to go ahead and add a component over here just to confirm the time zones of all of those different locations. So we've got the world clock web part, again out the box, and I'm going to call it our locations. I'm just going to go ahead and add in Chicago in here. And then I'm going to add in London. I'm going to add in Minsk because those are our 3 key time zones. So we'll know what's going on with those 3 key locations when we drop onto the home page as we're collaborating globally. Same kind of thing. I'm going to go ahead and add the weather app in here, which is quite a nice little app. It's a little web part here. So again, it's our locations, but I can go ahead and add those 3 locations back in here. But this time it's going to display weather. For me, Fahrenheit means very little, but for Nikki, that will make a lot of sense. So we'll have to tussle over how we're going to display that to our users. But you can see here, all pretty similar weather today, actually, by the looks of things, which is quite interesting. But we've pulled through our 3 key locations, time zones. So just some nice out-of-the-box web parts there to display. You can imagine I might have a tab at the top saying locations and have a page for each one of these where I have the weather, the time zone, and there's a Bing's map app in there, web part in there as well. You could add to the page, and just a page generally on the location-based info for that area of the business. One of mine and Nikki's favourite web parts here is the countdown, which I'm going to add again into the right-hand column. And the reason I love this is because it can really generate excitement and engagement from users about maybe a product launch or an upcoming summer party or something like that. So it counts down to an upcoming event, and maybe that's a global town hall. So I'm just going to put WM virtual summer party.
And this is really a great way, really dynamic way to display company events. And as Katie said, the countdown is there and available to you. You can even link and call to action and provide the details to that event right off of this section. And Katie, I'm sure will show you can have a background image added to this as well, making it a little more personalized. Really a great way, whether it's a global company event or function specific to like HR, hey, benefits countdown, make sure you update your benefits for the year. And the one thing I do want to point out as Katie's working through this, stock images is provided across the board by Microsoft. These are really crisp, really professional images that are available to you while you're building in SharePoint. And it's really a great way to bring that custom look, but very professional look to your site.
Absolutely, yeah. So I've added that in. It's probably, we probably want maybe we want a picture of us from our last summer party to drop in here. That's very easy to do. So where I went ahead there and I added in an image and went to stock images instead, I can upload an image and just create an image library in the back end of this site. You can create an image library for your whole organization, which shows on every SharePoint site available as well. So remember, this is a single SharePoint site making the home site, but we'd associate, as Nikki said, various sites for our functions and locations to all collate into this single intranet platform with a single set of navigation at the top here as well.
And very flexible, as we said, not that old classic hierarchical structure, but a very flexible, easy to move and update structure across the entire your entire intranet portal.
Exactly that, yeah. So final couple of things I want to add in here. Now, the UX of this page, we haven't thought too much about where everything's going to sit, but if I go ahead and add in at the bottom, I definitely want to show some of our social feeds. So I'm going to go ahead and add in Yammer. Now, Nikki, remind me, is it Yammer, conversations, or highlights that we wanted? Conversations, I think.
So conversations really brings through the whole Yammer experience right inside of SharePoint. So there is no need to jump in and out of a different application. Again, one-stop shop. Your homepage is your landing page for your work for the day, and with it pulling in this Yammer feed allows you to add a question, respond to polls, answer questions, post something new right within your intranet homepage. So really, really great, great feature.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and just add in a 2-column layout at the bottom here. Maybe I decide I actually want to pull down some of this location-based info. Like I've decided actually, Nikki and I are defining this homepage. We've done some UX workshops and just thinking actually this location-based info we can drop down at the bottom here. And you can see how easily I've been able to drag and drop that down. So I'm going to go do that now. So just showing you how to edit the page and change those, change that configuration. So that's going to pull those down to here. And then what I really want to show as well in this right-hand column, this left-hand column here is our Twitter feed with our external news, our external channel as well. So just going to go and put in Twitter, and you can see it's just pulling through Microsoft for now, which is fine for me for this demo. And I can go ahead and just put like our Twitter in here, and it would pull through in this view as well.
And just what a great way to engage your users both with external and internal communications.
Absolutely. Now, we haven't thought loads about the design and look and feel of this page, but this hopefully has shown you functionally what we're able to achieve in a really short time with the web parts available to us out the box. In a moment, we're going to show you a couple of the different look and feels from some intranets that we've done full end-to-end projects for, and you'll see how we can drive brand and engage and drive look and feel into the approach as well in a moment. I'm going to publish this. I'm just going to take a quick look on a mobile device just to show you that responsive feature. So I can go ahead and just inspect this page. And I'm just going to go ahead and tab it into a mobile view. So hopefully you can see now. Let's just drop it down. It's having a little moment.
And something to point out too, there definitely still is that, permissions and security around SharePoint. So workflows and everything can be added. So before publishing, there is an approval process, or as news items are being updated and added, there's also an approval process to that. So before anything goes live, you can still have control of what's being displayed and published to your organization.
Absolutely, yeah. So you can see here, I've gone ahead and it's just stacking down all the web parts really nicely. Thanks, everyone. So that's a quick view into the functionality available in modern SharePoint. We'll take a look back now and just have a think about how we might get to an intranet solution, and we will show another couple of key examples to show how we've driven brand as well into modern SharePoint. So I'll hand it back to Nikki now.
So looking at our typical intranet projects then, we see a shift in the types of activities that we as a supplier typically undertake during an intranet project. As you can see from the charts, we're doing considerably less development than in previous years. As you just saw in Katie's demo, we built a beautiful site and it's compelling. It's with out-of-the-box features. So definitely spending less time developing and doing custom code and more time working with the customer and configuring the site to make it their own. Another thing that I'd like to point out is that the mindset of the product owners is changing. They're much more willing to go with SharePoint out of the box. And after seeing all those features available to you out of the box, I'm sure you can understand why. And also, the organization has probably already invested in Office 365 licensing. So why wouldn't you be looking at ways to get the most out of your investment? Given that, we're aiming to deliver as much functionality out of the box as possible. When out of the box doesn't quite meet your requirements, though, we'll look at our Accelerator offering, which is those standalone components that I mentioned earlier. And if there's still requirements to deliver, then of course we'll look at custom development. And don't get me wrong, we love building cool new features. But the takeaway now is that we really don't have to. And I'll bring some examples in next, and you'll see one of our clients went live with completely modern SharePoint out of the box, no custom code or anything. So taking this approach out of the box first, it really reduces the project timelines as well. So that I was just referring to, when you take a look at this site, it's obviously modern SharePoint, but it's obviously Bowdoin. We spent a lot of time on configuration with Bowdoin, so we ensured that the company branding was carried through the entire site. We created images and icons for them, which really emphasize the Bowdoin logo and color scheme throughout the site. And again, no custom configuration. Everything that you see on this website is completely out of the box. So moving on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from the Bowdoin example I just showed, this is Diageo. So this site has a little bit of everything. So it has out-of-the-box functionality such as the news and the Yammer feed that you saw Katie building out on our demo as well. But it also has a component in here, a standalone component in here from our Accelerator offering. So what you see that looks like the quick launch or the quick links that Katie was using as well, those little squares, that's actually the launch pad here. So it gives the administrators the same ability to set up a central managed set of links, but it also gives the user the ability to add their own links. So if they reference a specific tool or specific site to get their job done, they can add that in here and reference it immediately versus having to create their own favorites list. So really a great feature here. Also, what you'll see on this site is the header and the footer. That is completely custom. So Diageo had a specific look and feel that they wanted for their site. So that's where the custom code came into play. So again, one example, completely out of the box. The other example, a little bit of everything. So you can see modern SharePoint is definitely flexible. And we here at WM Reply, we really believe that SharePoint is an intranet solution. It provides ease of creating an intranet, really from click and drop build out, as you saw in Katie's demo. And initially when Modern SharePoint came out, the question was, should I use Modern SharePoint? Should I use this new modern UI? And at the time, that question was understandable because the offering, the amount of components that were available out of the box were very few. Where you saw now in Katie's demo, there is so many components and features that are available to you out of the box that really the question today is, why wouldn't you use Modern SharePoint? This truly can be your last intranet build or migration. Future updates are just feature-based functionality versus a complete intranet build. And the best part is SharePoint is only getting better. We'd love to hear from you. We are passionate about Office 365 and Modern SharePoint, so please reach out to us anytime. Richard Ackerman is our managing partner out of the Chicago office, and Katie and myself would love to get on the phone, would love to have a conversation around what you're doing with not just Modern SharePoint, but Office 365 in general. So at this point, we'd like to open up the floor to Q&A.
Thank you so much, Nikki and Katie. The first question is, my company is thinking of transitioning from classic to modern SharePoint. How long of a timeline should we expect?
Great, thank you for that one. I think Nikki and I were chatting about this earlier, actually, and we it depends on your requirements, but we're looking at sort of the 2 to 4, 5 month mark, depending on the complexity, which is pretty fantastic compared to intranet projects of late. And that's to go all the way through from discovery and planning, the UX piece and understanding your users, building, and then, moving over some content ready for a launch.
Thank you. The next question is, how do I enable audience-specific views on SharePoint?
Great feature that Microsoft now offers completely out of the box, and this audience targeting is available really across several different parts within Modern SharePoint. So you can enable audience targeting for libraries and lists, and that's as easy as just going into your library or list setting, and I believe under general setting, you can just enable, toggle on that audience targeting, and once you do that and you go back to your library or list, then you will see a new property, a new column available referencing that audience targeting. But audience targeting is also available in parts. So as Katie showed in her demo earlier, you get into the properties of a web part, and again, it's just a toggle to enable audience targeting, and also in site navigation, which is absolutely phenomenal. So your site navigation can really be specific to the users that are landing on that page. So audience targeting, again, a simple toggle on and off for site navigation as well. So it's a great feature, happy to have it. And again, some of our clients that previously went to Modern SharePoint were able to start using this audience targeting because of the benefit of Modern SharePoint now being evergreen and always being on that latest version.
Great. Next question is, how does SharePoint integrate with Teams or Yammer?
This is a really great question, and I think the interoperability between these tools and users understanding where they go for what is super important in Microsoft 365. So one fantastic feature that we showed today around Yammer is the Yammer web part. And what's great is that you can add that multiple times across your intranet. So on multiple pages and sites, and be pulling through different Yammer groups onto the page there as well. So, on the home page, you might have an all company feed pulling through, or maybe you've got a campaign going on across the whole company and you want a specific topic to pull through. And then when you go to the functional page for marketing or finance, perhaps you would want to be seeing the relevant group there, and the same for, inclusion, diversity, etc. on the relevant pages. The other way that's quite interesting that we see people using the integration is by creating a news link on the news web part, you can actually link through to a Yammer thread. So if you want to pull that onto your home page aggregation, you can be creating a news link. You put in the URL to the Yammer thread, and it will pull through a nice thumbnail and title of the Yammer thread. And when you click through to it, it will open a new tab on Yammer. So that's nice as well. And then from a Teams perspective, Nikki, is there anything you think to add on the kind of the Yammer integration with SharePoint that I've missed there?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. And in your demo, we were able to quickly show how you can bring that collaborative piece right into your intranet solution.
And what's nice about that is we used to spend a very long time building social feeds like that to Yammer and some of our external feeds too. And with Twitter and Yammer, we get those right out of the box, so no development time at all. And again, responds to any screen size. But you can even post right there on the page. So when the Yammer web part first came out, when you clicked on it, you kind of had to click through into the tab for Yammer. And now what's nice is that you can actually post from right there on the page. And then with Teams, there is the opportunity now to create a tab within Teams on your left-hand navigation. Which pulls through. It's a custom app, which sounds scary, but it's not. You can rustle it up quite quickly. We've got the ability to add in as a tab for the whole organization, a connection into the intranet homepage or into a news hub, for example. On individual teams, you can always click the plus button on any of your channels and add in a specific relevant SharePoint page there as well. So at a team level, you can be pulling in, your functional site if you wanted to as well. And what's nice about both of those is that does work on a mobile device as well. And then I guess from a Teams perspective, Nikki, I think that's our two key approaches as it stands today, kind of between the two tools.
I think the main takeaway and the key thing that I'd like to just kind of touch on is that they all complement each other very well. Microsoft has done a great job of integrating all of their applications and even taking it one step further with Teams, for example. Besides just pulling in a page or a hub site, if you reference a list within SharePoint and you're working on, with your team, a specific list and you want that referenced in your, chat environment in Teams, you can add that as well. Across the tab as a tab. So again, they all complement each other very well, and they all work together really nicely.
Great, thank you so much for that answer. Unfortunately, we just have time for one more question. Is it easy enough to build the carousel feature, or are we expecting Office 365 to include it in the next update?
So
go ahead.
No,
Katie.
Nikki, go ahead.
So I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly, the carousel feature if you're referring to the one that Katie was referencing, that's automatically available standard out of the box when you're working with, example, the news web part. So Katie, do you want to kind of add on to that?
Sure. So it's the fact is that it's not a carousel standalone web part. We have built one of those at WM because I know a couple of customers just want that functionality, but you can use the news web part to do that. So if you tend to be communicating something out to the business, you're either linking to a news page, or you could add the news web part and add a news link. And then if you've got that within the news space, you just change that web part configuration to be a carousel, choose how often it's changing over. So it exists already, it will be available in your license, but it's the news web part that you'll need to add and configure on the page. Cool.
So I think we're close to time. So I want to take a moment again and thank everybody for joining us today on this webinar. Please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Like we mentioned earlier, we are excited about Office 365, and we'd love to hear what you're excited about and what you're looking forward to with Office 365, Modern SharePoint, and all the lovely features available to us.
Absolutely. And one final thing to note, we did lose audio for a little bit there in the middle of the session. We will be in the recording that we'll be publishing out and sharing with you guys afterwards. We will amend that, so anything you missed, you'll be able to see there. And we will include a kind of FAQ or Q&A. There are lots of questions that we got through that we weren't able to cover off in those final 5 minutes. So we will look to collate those and share those back to you as well. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.